Hi folks, I've well, just done a little bit of a walk around the garden. Yes, we've had a bit of frost, not a lot, but weather's strange this year. It's really warm. Had a little bit of an harvest. Last things to harvest, potatoes for 6, maybe, for Christmas dinner. Yeah, we'll see. And I just had a little bit of play around with that rocket stove again. I'll put that right on end. And there might be an interesting bit in the middle as well. I'll get on with it. Nice to be nice. Well, that's my asparagus bed. These strawberries have fruited all year. But frosts have done them now, they're all gone soft, what we're left. We didn't have a really hard frost, but it was enough to finish off a lot of stuff. Nasturtiums, eggplant, the ground cherries. I'm going to pick off what I can salvage off that and just cut it off at bottom. I've heard the all perennial root system will survive. It might come up next year, but I'm informed I'm sure I'll have lots and lots of volunteers, so I'm not really worried. The taste of that kale has improved significantly just because of frost. We've been eating at that, as you can see. It's all, some of it's fell over, I'll have to cut that up. Still got some, well, lots of Swiss chard. That one's just tidying up a bit. And collard greens, they're also better with frost. I don't know whether I'll get any sprouts for Christmas. They're not very big. Obviously my finger's closer. Big enough. Still got some little turnips left. And some of this red chicory, which is quite good. That's cold hardy. I'll be doing that again next year. And turnips. And these endives, these are quite good as well because they'll go through cold weather. I don't know whether I mentioned before, well, should have did. And I had to walk around this volunteer potato that the frost killed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig it up and see what we've got. If anything. New potatoes in winter. That's aside. I'm not really expecting much, but you never know, do you? I volunteered from what came out from last year. Or it came out of compost that I dumped on here. Could it be spectacular? Or could it be just a plant? Oh, there's one. Well, call it that. Not much of a Christmas dinner. Just looking at this ground cherry again. It's an amazing amount of fruit on it. It's unfortunately it's never going to ripen, but I'll just pull that off. But look, it's absolutely full of fruit. So there were quite a few more on than that, but some are a bit soggy. I'm just going to sort them out. Good thing is now I can keep my hands warm by the hand warmer. You can hear that rocket stove going away. I'm just burning them bits up from the cuttings I took. It's not very good. People were saying about these volunteering. I like volunteer plants because it means I don't have to plant them again in grow room or in garden, and they're easy to identify, so you can pick them out if you don't want them, you know what I mean? Something else, I've just a question here really. I film a lot on my smartphone, and a lot of you guys do too. I do have a GoPro camera, it's got its pros and cons, let's say. And what I've done, I've built a couple of, well, holders for the phone, which I'm using now, so I can go hands free. Now, I've built a couple of versions. I'm working on another one. I'm thinking about doing it. Well, I'm not thinking about doing it. I'm learning how to use a CAD drawing programme now, so I can get a price, and there goes the bus, so I can get a price to have these produced in injection moulded. Now, I was thinking about doing a start-up with the design when it's finalised and when I've got a proper price, but what I'd like to be doing actual unit for would be something around $10 to $15 more, which is, I don't think, is expensive if I can get down to that price. And the actual unit would clip onto things pretty much like Dale's does, but it's quite mechanical. It's not like the bendy rod, which I could probably do, but what I've got in mind is a little bit different. And the actual unit would also screw onto a standard tripod. If you've got a tripod, you could use it on a standard tripod, or clip it onto practically anywhere and everywhere around you, because that's what I do with this in general. But that's just a thought. I'd appreciate any comments and what you think. Would it be something you could use yourself if I were to produce it or get it produced? I mean, I'll try to do a small run first and then see what we get. But the startup might be the best way for me to go, just due to cost. That one's been frozen, look. And that one's squashed. Just the cost of actually doing it, so hopefully I wouldn't lose a mistake and maybe go forward a little bit. But anyway, ground cherries in December. I've just been doing a bit of work in the house, which entailed taking a door and door frame out and a bit of stud walling, old stud walling, and redoing it. And as I haven't done much with this lately, I thought I'd get a burn using some of this wood. It's got a bit of paint on it, I won't cook on it, but I'll burn it off in this rocket stove. And as I said before, I was going to put, this is the second time I've fired it up, and I said before I'd try and get an meat thermometer, but this is from an old heating system for water. Just maxed it out 120, and all I've burnt is, well, that and a couple of pieces as big as that, which I chucked down to start it off. It's not rocketing now, probably not getting enough air. There's a patio heater, that works great. I'd have no problem feeding it from top as well. I'd be thinking about just putting a mesh over that where I could take off and use it as an heater. Feed it from top. You could even, well, you can cook on that, no problem. Know that. Put a slightly different top on it. It's also good for burning off bits of old wood. Bottom's just cold, but I can't put my hand on that now. And that's absolutely maxed out, 120C plus. Something I've just noticed with this rocket stove is it's just cracked. Now this is probably only the third time I've run it, and it's been quite damp. This actual self ain't got wet, but I'm assuming damp air's affected it. It's got damp, it's just cracked down one side. It's not cracked at the back, so it's still together. And this is now very warm. Now if I let that go out, I could put that in greenhouse, couldn't I? If I had a greenhouse, that would be.